Today I'm going to be making a fabric coaster. This is about 5 inches in size. I'm going to be taking some batting and a fabric that has already been cut into 44 inches by 2.5 inches. My batting is 2.25 inches. So I'm going to be lining these up, and then I'm going to be using this handy tool here that I have that's geared towards making these jelly roll rugs. It's just to be able to fold your fabric and batting together. So here I am. Sometimes it's a little tricky. Once I get it all situated here, then I'm going to be folding it in half again, and then I'm going to be sewing down the side. I generally do about a 1/4 inch seam allowance here, so that's just sewing it down the side there just a little bit. And this is how I do it. I'm using this tool here that helps fold it, and then I just fold it in half again easily here, and then sew down the side. I'm using also a magnetic seam guide up here near where I'm stitching. It just helps me keep this nice and straight as I'm stitching it. So I'm going to just sew this whole long strip, and then this will be what I am using to make my fabric coaster. And here is what it looks like once it is sewn. You get your nice fabric rope here. Now comes the tricky part, starting the middle. So this is how I start my middle here. I kind of just make a U shape, and I bunch it and try to get the fabric to lay nice and flat right there if you can. Some fabrics will be a little bit more difficult than others. And then I put it down in there, and I'm going to be zigzag stitching. I'm going to go down once, just a little bit, and then I'm going to back stitch and come back again. And that's going to be my center. I also want to note that when I make these projects, I make it with the seam side out on the outside. A lot of people like to do it where it's on the inside, so it's just personal preference what you like. This is how I do mine. So I'm going to kind of bunch, fold, finagle this little section here. And I'm going to go down until it catches over that next flap, and I'm going to leave my needle down and turn it. And I do that a couple times because I find that it helps just to get it nice in there like this, to just maneuver the fabric till I see how it looks good, and then I continue on. I don't really like to keep sewing and moving it while I'm sewing too much at this stage. I like to pull my fabric back here and kind of just fluff out the inside there and kind of try to get it to bunch up nicely and lay flat, and then I bring it back up to the other section of it, and then I continue sewing. After I get around that initial middle section, I then kind of use my left hand here to help guide it as I do it. I don't push it really hard or anything, just very gently with every stitch, just so that it's moving as I'm stitching. I think this helps me get a nice even stitch. See, I'm moving. This is how I move my hand. I often find if I'm not doing this and I'm rushing or pushing or moving the fabric fast, that's often when I start seeing, even with these little coasters, start seeing a little bit more tension on the part that I sew, and they start curving up just a little bit. So you really got to take your time and just ease that fabric in through it as you're going. This is real-time sewing. I'm not slowing it down or speeding it up so that you can see how it is that I'm sewing it. Again, I'm pulling back the fabric and just kind of adjusting it on the inside. You want your fabric just to butt up next to the other fabric. You don't want it to overlap, so you just adjust it as needed. Now I'm at the end, and I like to just cut at an angle just like this, my ending. This is how I like to do mine. So I continue sewing, and then I'm going to just bunch and move that fabric until it lays nice right in there like that. And I make sure that that flap is down. You don't want the batting showing through. So it does get a little tricky here. I lift up my foot sometimes just to get that fabric back down in there so it lays nice. Take my time. I like to use my little tool here to flatten it out too as well. It is a little tricky. Then once I get to the end and I make sure that I have it how I like it, I'm going to back stitch a little ways and then come back down sometimes. I don't know. I do different things different times. Sometimes I just plain back stitch. I like to take a peek on the underside to make sure that both of the sides kind of got there. Sometimes I'll see some batting sticking through, so I have to go over that section again on the underside. But I did good. I got it. So that's it. I'm all done with my coaster. And this is what it looks like and how it connects at the end. And I'm really happy with it. It came out nice and flat. I'm going to iron it too, but it looks really good right now. So that's how I make my fabric coasters, you guys.